Okay, good morning, everyone. Walk on this journey with all of you and to deep dive into AI. So, I'm sure we've all heard the phrase before that technology is the future. So, I wouldn't want anyone to be stuck in the past, and therefore, I am confident that this will be a beneficial learning experience. So, just a little bit about myself. I'm only 21 years old, and I'm the lead data analyst for my team. And I use AI, and it helps me with creating emails, paraphrasing messages faster, which gives me more time to focus on databases and deadlines. And AI even helped me write the speech. And that therefore I know that you will all enjoy this session. And can I get a round of applause for the amazing, the chief executive of All Labs, Renee Parker.
Thank you, Courtney, for that. You did really well. Full disclaimer, I also have an AI in my pocket, so my next words is also coming from there. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all feeling welcomed. Are you? Yeah. I'm so happy to see so many people in the space, so many people here interested in AI. I'm not sure how many people in this room know what AI stands for. Only a few hands. Some people are shouting out the answers. Okay, so I'm wearing a T-shirt that says also AI, actionable influence. Don't worry, you are at the right AI conference today. I'm not gonna be talking. I'm not gonna be talking about that. So today, of course, can I stand here? Is this okay? Today we have multi generations in this room. I must applaud every one of you for coming out, for being here, for showing up, and for being present. I had a conversation earlier on with someone, and I was like, I really thought like only young people were going to come, but I'm so happy that more people my age are here. So, and the lady I spoke to, and she said, you know what, we need all the generations because the older generation are the ones that advocate new things. Young people can say what? Right? You might be the first one to tap and explore, but when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to carrying things through, and and the money, I love it. I love it. I didn't actually want to lead with that, but you are so right. We are the ones that advocate, right? And making sure that young people are not left behind. So I'm really happy that we have a super cool audience today. So, of course, AI has the potential to revolutionize industries. We are, I think, officially in our fourth industrial revolution. I don't know, there's some debates whether we're on the fifth already. But yes, for those of you that don't know, that is this time, right? Where technology is here. We're talking about AI today specifically. Of course, there are other um, technologies around blockchain, the Internet of Things, and all those other things, but we're going to focus specifically on AI. I'm not the expert on that, so I'm not going to be getting into that. I'm just here to set the scene and making sure that everybody my age is quite comfortable. So, in talking to some people, I realized um, our adverse rejection of technology is generally because we think it's going to exclude us, right? Or it's going to put us aside, or it's going to be the end of an era. But in our heads, we really know it's not that, right? Yet our first reaction is always, it's not for me, it's not for my type of person, I don't have the brain for that, I don't have the knowledge for that, you know, it's always for someone else. But we've seen over the years how technology has been ingrained in all of us. Whether you have a smartphone or a not so smartphone, or you use a microwave at home, or a television, a smart TV or not a smart TV, doesn't matter. Technology is everywhere. There's no way we can get away from it. And so when we look at some of our jobs, I know in speaking to many corporates and companies, the biggest thing that people are always fearful of is that a machine is going to take over my job. And of course it's true, because we've seen it in the first industrial revolution, second, third. We've seen how, with time, with innovation happening, how the boring jobs are being taken over by machines. I don't know if any of you have noticed that, right? The mundane things, the things that you must do all the time, those are the jobs that have been taken over by machines. So for today, I just realized I have a... For today, we are going to talk about embracing. How do we, wait, the wrong one. How do we embrace AI, right? There's a saying that goes, if you can't fight them, join them. I don't know how many of you have, you have heard that, yes, Giselle. And that's true, right? If you can't, okay, that's not me. It must be ChatGPT's giving a different variation of my speech. But if you can't fight it, we're going to join it, right? And we can embrace it. There are certain things that are actually good. Technology is really just a tool. It can be anything, but it's how you use it. The same like motor vehicles, right? It's a tool that's supposed to get you from A to B. And some people might debate and say it's not the best thing on the road, accidents and people are dying. That's really because human beings are using it. And that shows you how powerful human beings are over machinery, over any other piece of metal or something that is working. Human beings are more powerful. And as human beings, why don't we embrace it? Okay? It's not a competition at all. So our theme for today is AI beyond the hype, right? Because some of you might feel like, oh, I just hear it everywhere, ChatGPT. I think some of us hear that word so much, you don't even know what it really means. You just know that it's something, right? And there are other words that people are using and things out there that just creates this whole hype. But we want to get beyond that. As citizens, not only of our country, but of this continent, it's our responsibility to not just be stopped, to be paused, to be intimidated by any words that are thrown out there, okay? So let me move on, because we're definitely going beyond the hype. So we understand AI allows us to revolutionize industries, but also spurs innovation, right? And innovation, it's up to us. It's up to a human being. It's still up to an individual. It also allows us, forces us to create new jobs, right? In the previous industrial revolutions, when we needed people to pack and lift heavy machinery and people were getting injured and limbs were being chopped off, now we have machines that actually do that, right? So it forced us to think about, okay, what is the next thing? So what else can I do? And only human beings are able to think of what is next. Artificial intelligence is really there to advance, right? But we have the upper hand, we have the advantage. So we're in this future, we call it the AI-driven future. And by embracing this technology, we can find new ways to excel in our chosen fields. And this is just to those of you that might be in a job and you're thinking about like, oh, they're cutting down staff. They're letting some of us go because more systems are being automated. If we think about how many people we needed before to actually do calculations until the calculator came. Yeah, and so there are more and more jobs that people feel like it's not for me. This is the thing that I've been trained for, that I've been studying all this time, they're not going to need me. We look at administrative jobs. I was teasing the graphic designers the other day, and I was like, you're out of a job soon, eh? I hope you're embracing AI and you're seeing, like, how am I going to use this to my advantage? And it's to any skill. We might think Nikita's looking at me funny because she's a graphic designer. I think she's pretty worried. But all these things are always going to force us, right? Because AI is there to automate the mundane tasks. the repetitive things. As human beings, we were never created just to do the same thing over and over and over. We were created to create. And so we know that this will never replace the human touch, the unique skills, the things that make us uniquely human. AI can never replace. And that is, something that we should be riding on, that we should be leading with. Of course, the human touch is one other thing, and our skills, the human skills, empathy, right? Something as simple as that is such an important skill to have nowadays, even in the workplace. So cultivating these skills will definitely allow us to leverage AI as a powerful tool, because it is powerful, rather than viewing it as a threat. And whenever we change our lens on something, it gives you the upper hand, right? And as human beings, you also have, because you have a mind, right? So you can decide what you're going to change. And again, our advantage is, and I'm going to say our as in this young generation on the continent. Africa we're young, right? On the continent, our population of youth is much higher than anywhere else in the world, right? So we have a high population of young people. So we have the advantage of adaptability and a natural inclination towards technology that draws us towards technology. I think during COVID, it gave us a good time, a good way, or metrics at least, for everyone else that says, I don't want to use technology, I don't want to use a phone. In order for you to communicate with your loved ones, you were forced to communicate more online. Right? I don't know how many of you felt that. A lot of our seniors that before were like, no, I don't need this thing. I just want to be able to, have somebody come visit me and bring me stuff. For them, they were forced to actually engage with this technology. And we've seen how it actually revolutionized a whole generation. Of course, learning and engaging with AI, that's very important. It's not just learning about it, right? Because then it's just there. But actually engaging with it, using it, testing it, seeing what it actually does, exploring actually demystifies AI. Right? If you explore anything, if you didn't know something, you didn't know it, right? But if you know something, you know it. You can't unknow. You can forget something, yes, but you can't unknow something. You can't unhear something. You can't unsee it, right? Once it's there in some part of your brain. And then even building our understanding of the artificial intelligence algorithms, the back end of things. The panelists later on are going to get into all the technical aspects, I think, but even just a snippet of understanding what does this thing actually do, how's it going to help me, how's it going to advance what I'm already doing. Getting familiar with emerging trends, right? We talk about blockchain, our R Labs, one of our innovations, Lato, is built on the blockchain technology. There's the Internet of Things. There's a whole lot of technologies out there. And artificial intelligence is not in isolation. It's not something that's there by itself. It's actually connected with the other technologies. And who knows, tomorrow it might be something new, right? Because that's our world. That's how things are. I'm sure there's somebody in this room that's going to come up with the next technology that we're going to be having a talk about soon. And this allows us to position ourselves as multidisciplinary professionals, right? It allows us to be able to do different things because we are able to adapt, we are able to move, we are able to change. And I'm going to end off with a quote. We have the opportunity to embrace AI beyond the hype and unlock its full potential. By harnessing AI as a powerful tool, we can shape our own future careers and contribute to the development of a technology-driven society that benefits us all, right? We are all interlinked. anyway. We all live in a community, you live in a household, you have to go to a shopping mall, you have to go somewhere where there's other people. So we are all interlinked. We're going to engage in some way, whether it's just on social media or whether it's in person. And the path to success lies not in resisting it, but in embracing it with enthusiasm. Yes, we are excited. We're always excited about new stuff. We're excited, like, what can we do, right, with this thing that we know we are more powerful than, this thing that we know we are not resisting. What can we do with it? And of course, the determination to make a positive impact. All human beings have good inside of them. All human beings have good intention. They might be doing bad things, but the intent is there. And how do we actually just take AI or any other technology, anything that's still going to come, for the advancement of the human race? Thank you. Wait. I'm going to introduce somebody. I'm going to introduce the man that's behind today, that's been forcing us to get out of our comfort zone, that's been forcing us to think about AI, that forced the design team to make AI t-shirts, that forced, literally, this is the man that I don't know, like, how his brain actually works, because it's the way it works is definitely beyond me most of the time. So he's always forcing us into other things. And so for today, we have Mr. Marlon Parker, the founder of R Labs. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you, Renee. Can we again give it up for, the the real boss, the big boss. Now, of course, for many of us, I think artificial intelligence we've been kind of engulfed with all of that. Like we heard earlier, there's been a lot of things being said about AI. And I think for me, the key thing about artificial intelligence has been around for a very long time. It's a technology. I think it was in 1950. I don't know what you were doing in 1950. But there was a mathematician, what was his name? Turing, right? Alan. His name was Alan. There's something about the name Alan. Any other Alans in the house? But Alan Turing basically kind of was thinking and wondering, can they actually think? Can these machines think? And it's interesting how a simple question got us to 73 years later. And of course, a couple of years later, I think it was John, what's the name? I only think of John McEnroe. But that's going to give my age away. But it was there was another, McIntyre or something. And then they had this big AI gathering in 1956. I don't know what you were doing in 1956, Jody. So then there was this emergence of people doing a lot of research, and everybody was excited about AI. And of course, we then went into the 70s and the 80s, where there was a little bit of an AI winter, as they call it. Some of us were also born in that era. In the 70s and the 80s was a good period. And of course, my first introduction, and this is an old joke, but I'm going to say it again. My first introduction to AI was when my grandmother when I did something wrong, and then she would say, I, right? If only she spelled it out and she said, I. So that was my first introduction to AI, and clearly it made me a little bit more intelligent because I wouldn't do that again. But we went through this kind of AI winter, and then eventually the rise of the internet in the 90s, and all of a sudden technology started to emerge. We had this little AI renaissance in the 90s up until the 2000s, where with technology that has now advanced so much, computing power that has really kind of gone up, we find ourselves where we are today. But of course, the key thing for us is, once again, we want to make sure that Africa is not left behind when it comes to artificial intelligence. We don't want this continent to be an afterthought. We actually want to be the leader and the pioneers when it comes to this technology. So they can't tell us it's a new technology, but it's been around for 70 years. Africa actually gave the world the first industrial revolution, believe it or not. So if the fourth industrial revolution really needs to work, I believe, and I'm going to be a bit biased, it's only going to be because of this continent. And that is the reason why we felt that we needed to do this. We believe that this technology is not going to go away. There's a lot of research, and I can bore you to death with numbers, but fundamentally it's a technology that we believe is that it's here to stay, and it's about what we're going to do with it. So we're going to hear a number of people giving us some amazing talks. And first up, unfortunately, she would really wanted to be here. It's Gabby Immelman. You met her mom who was doing the little demo. She sent her mother to come and do the demo. Now that's the thing about moms, right? So thank you, really appreciate it. And Gabby's currently in San Francisco, and I'm sure she really would have wanted to be here. But she's just kind of created this little video for us. And Gabby is an amazing enthusiast when it comes to education, AI, technology, specifically teaching it to kids. And I'm going to allow her to share a little bit about her journey of AI and basically telling us about MindJoy. So in her absence, and hopefully if someone can take a clip, I'm going to ask her mom to take a quick little video clip. There's her mom, if she can stand. I'm going to ask us just to do a big round of applause for Gabby so she can send it to her. Okay, so let's give a big round of applause for Gabby. That's going to quickly tell us a little bit about MindJoy. Okay, so over to you, Mr. Michael. Yeah, no pressure. And while we waiting to get the video back up, I just want to please ask you, try your best to meet someone that you haven't spoken to before. Okay, you don't have to go and talk to the computers. Like actually speak to a person. Is that okay? We would really appreciate that. So I'm going to allow them to do that. So over to Gabby.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm the founder of MindJoy, and we are an edtech startup from Cape Town, South Africa. And we're on a mission to empower young people with tech skills to build a future in which humanity can flourish in harmony with technology. And we did this by helping educators transform their classrooms with projects that kids love using the power of AI. And we've been doing this since before ChatGPT made it cool. So why, you might ask? That's because we had this insight that educators in South Africa and our teacher knowledge is pretty poor. Teachers, many teachers in South Africa are not able to pass the subjects they teach. And also we have a massive teacher shortage. And what's interesting is that as of recently, large language models or AI systems have developed so well that they are able to pass really advanced mathematics and biology and history exams, and all kinds of exams. They've been put to the test and they're able to pass these, the performance on academic and professional exams. And so that might freak some people out, and you may have seen in the mainstream media, people are talking about the cheating that is happening because of these tools. But actually, that's maybe not the right question to be asking. The question we should be asking is how can we leverage this technology to be teachers to our students and improve the quality of instruction and learning and teaching. So a question at MindJoy that we like to ask ourselves is, what will the classrooms of the future look like? And I used an AI system called Midjourney that produces images to help us paint a picture, or generate a picture, should I say. And in the one class, you see, I gave it two prompts. I said a classroom in 2023 and a classroom of the future. And the title of the site says, the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed. And what is interesting is that, to me, that picture, the future picture, looks like an office of a startup or an innovation hub, and looks very much like, the spaces at R Labs. And so there is a big question, which is what makes it a future classroom? So I don't think it's just because of the technology in the classroom. I think it's because of the way the students have flexible seating. They are able to move around and work collaboratively. You may notice in the present day classroom, the seats are in rows. And I think that's a clue as to how the way people collaborate and learn and work is changing. And that's something we have to design for in our classrooms too. So that also asks us the question, what are future skills that our young people need, and how can we design for them, and how will AI help us achieve these goals? So, students need to be first and foremost digitally literate to be able to participate in the economy, in the creators economy. They need to have collaboration skills, they need to have problem solving skills, good communication skills, and then be curious and motivated. So these are really, really important to maintain curiosity, so interest in things, and motivation, the ability to persevere on tasks and have goals that they pursue. And really, that is what the future of learning holds for us. And we can achieve this by leveraging what we have in South Africa by building mobile-first solutions that are AI-enabled, student-centered, and hyper-collaborative. So here's a picture of a classroom where we have been prototyping this type of learning with an AI tutor in students' hands, literally. Each student has their own tutor on their mobile phones that is helping them learn even advanced things like coding. And why that's really cool if you're a teacher is because you basically have a teacher sidekick that helps you get done what you need to do, but it also changes the role of the teacher in the classroom. So teachers no longer have to be content experts. They can now spend their time caring about motivating students, cultivating curiosity, and being, that loving, caring adult in the room. So an example of the way in which a teacher's role might change is that AI can really do the heavy lifting of administrative tasks like planning, report writing. Here's an example of a lesson plan being generated by AI, for example, and that could save teachers a lot of time and free them up to spend more time with children, being the loving, caring adult in the room, really. So I'm really excited about the opportunities that AI presents to making teachers' lives a lot easier, because we know teachers, already do so much work. So we're excited about the opportunities AI bring. And I'd like to invite everyone to try and embrace AI, because AI is not going to replace you. AI is going to only improve things if we participate in using it. And if we don't use it, it's a person using AI who's going to replace us. So it's really an invitation to embrace this technology and see how it can make us, superhuman in many ways.
Amazing. Thank you, Gabby. Right? really appreciate it. And I think that's such it reminds me, I think today we all know about remote controls, right? And I remember my job when we first got a television, Janet, I was the aerial, and then I was the remote control. Back then, some of you might not know, we used to use these metal hangers when your bunny aerial was broken, and you had to literally, so that's why you would still see sometimes, you would see I'm standing, I'm leaning. It's simply because that was the position I had to stand to get the perfect picture. And when eventually we got proper connectivity there, I was then the remote control, because there was never batteries in the remote. And you were the youngest, so you had to get up and go. So I was eventually replaced by a remote control. So technology replaced me. It did replace me, but I was very happy. It freed me up. But again, thank you, Gabby, for just kind of encouraging us around the possibilities where AI comes within education. So our next speaker is I'm going to introduce her, and I'm going to read a bio, right? That's a summary of a bio. So that tells you something, okay? So Janet Sawari. She's, and I hope I pronounced the company correct, it's Tear Labs. It's a Tear Labs. So Janet is the CEO and founder of Tear Labs, an AI research and innovation lab based right here in Cape Town. She's a serial entrepreneur, a recent Harambean for the 23 class. So I'm not going to, that's now we need another workshop to explain what that is. All you need to know is to get in there is very difficult. It's more difficult to get in there than Harvard, okay? I'm not talking about Harvard there by Strandfontein. I mean Harvard like the university, okay? She sits on the Women in ICT board, is an inspiring 50 2022 honoree, which is recognition for women that's doing amazing work in STEM, an AI contributor for the One AI tech platform, and she's also the visionary behind an AI-assisted labeling model training, a collaborative tool that enables anyone to build AI with no code, right? So that's amazing. And this Stare Labs' latest product is called XVSN, pronounced XVision, right? So I should have read that first before I made spelling it out. So a vision of so Janet's vision is to enable businesses across industries to succeed quickly and efficiently with the power of computer vision. So please, can you put your hands together for Janet?
Oh, I can stand anywhere. Okay, great, great. Yeah, so am I supposed to make a presentation? Just to talk, great. Right. So many people, God. Can I do a quick poll? All right, so I think we all know what AI means, but I want to know who's using AI. Just a quick raise of hands. All right. And who's not using AI, who wants to use AI? All right, don't be shy, it's okay. And then who does not want to interact with it at all, who came here to protest at some point? I need to know if a pie is going to be thrown my way. All right, great. So I think I'll start with where my journey started. I'd love to talk more about my qualifications, but I don't think that's going to help much. I'm here to help you get closer to where I am, or closer to where you want to get. And where my journey started is when I was doing my master's, and our professor whipped out a project and had something to do with artificial intelligence. And I thought, good Lord, here I am after spending 4 years working on my bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering, and I'm a master's student. And this is my first time hearing artificial intelligence, and it's a 4-page report, and I have 2 days to finish it. It was the most confusing, embarrassing, and agitating moment of my life, but something came out of that moment, pure excitement and bliss. It's almost like a bug had bit, and I was now, obsessed with this tech. Like, it can do this, and this, like, it's going to replace me. That was my immediate thought. And so I worked on that project, did really well on it, and then I requested to change from my program. I was doing a master's in computer science and engineering after doing a bachelor's in computer science and engineering. So I switched to the big data and analytics department program. And that's really what catapulted my journey. And one of the projects I worked on, this is in China, in Shanghai, was a project for Baidu, the Apollo 2. If anyone knows Baidu, quick poll. Anyone knows Apollo 2? Does anyone know what an autonomous vehicle is? All right, a driverless vehicle. Yeah, that was my first project. It's like taking someone who cannot swim and going, there is a lake over there. And I would want you to be the one to help lead the team to swim across the lake. And you go, that doesn't sound difficult. Yeah, I'm sure I can do it. And then you get there, and it's your first time, first of all, seeing an actual driverless car. And then being put inside one and thinking the rest of the team is going to join, and the doors close, and it starts moving. And you're thinking, I'm going to die. The headline is going to be so bad. The first thing my mom was going to say is, you are an embarrassment. You literally signed up to go die like a white person in an autonomous vehicle. This is not how black people die. So that was my first interaction with the technology. And over 6 months, I got to interact with L'Oreal's Department of Innovation as well. It was within a really big hub where different companies had AI departments. I got to interact with different types of companies and see the possibility of driverless vehicles for safety, driverless vehicles for logistic purposes, driverless vehicles for medical use cases. And I'm sure from whatever sector you come from, whether it's agriculture, whether it's impact, you can think of within my space, how could we apply a driverless vehicle? Driverless or autonomous technology is just one. There are many within the AI space. And what I want to request of everyone today is from everything that you hear from myself and everyone else who's going to be on this platform to keep talking more about this tech, is to go beyond the hype. You need to apply your mind in terms of where you are, your sector, what you want to maybe work on, for example, and think of what type of AI, of artificial intelligence, would be relevant. Not sexy, but relevant. That right there, that difference right there is where the hype happens. You know, in my space, you know, you have people talk about humanoid robots. Just a day ago, 2 days ago, I was watching CNN, and all of a sudden this generated image of Elon Musk and many, many humanoid wives generated once again on Midjourney. And it's not real, it's fake. So you get to a point where, because there's so many opportunities, it's easy for so many people to assimilate whatever they're working with or try and attach it to just what's the coolest thing I can just, you know. What is going to make sense is applying the technology to what it is that you're passionate about. Okay, so after my MBA, I had a really great opportunity. I was invited back to Shanghai Jiao Tong University as a lecturer. And my first course was called AI Business Strategies. And I basically taught corporate C-suite individuals how to apply AI in their business. First of all, what it is, how to apply it, where to apply it, and how to invest in it, how to build teams. Where do you put money, you know, in AI? How do you build scalable AI? And the opening sentence of that lecture was always, there are 3 different types of intelligence. Artificial intelligence is very broad, but there are 3 different types of intelligence. And who can tell me what the first one is? I'm now directing that question to you, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anyone that can think of what is one of the types of intelligence? Emotion, okay. Not quite. So in the AI space, oh, yes? Human intelligence, okay. All right, that's close enough. So in the AI space, we have what we call Annie, ASI, and Aggie. ANI, AGI, and ASI. So these 3 have always been my anchor to help me understand artificial intelligence. Annie stands for Artificial Narrow Intelligence. Aggie stands for Artificial General Intelligence. And then ASI stands for Artificial Super Intelligence. Now, who can tell me what one of them mean, at least? Come on, guys. Yes, yes. Not quite, but close, at least. It's a really tough crowd. Yes. That's ASI, that's super intelligence. Yeah. So super intelligence, singular thinking, that's where the machine pretty much is a copy of me. It can make decisions, it can think on the spot without necessarily having to get computation instruction or assistance in the background. So when you think of Robocop, that is super intelligence, singular, you know. And then general intelligence or narrow intelligence and general intelligence is somewhere where we are right now, where we're going from AI being able to do very specific tasks. If you've seen those autonomous, what do you call them? The little round vacuum cleaner. Yeah, it does one task. It's just automated, just going around in, yeah, narrow. General is where we're going now, where you almost can't tell if the technology is thinking by itself, is getting to the Robocop stage, you know? Yeah. I think in closing, to not take all the time, because there's a bit of a teacher or lecturer in me, so can turn this into a classroom real fast. At Tail Labs, we are more of a deep tech startup, and I started it as a way to have someone on the continent that will defend future tech on our behalf. So we don't just work on tech that's applicable now, but we conduct our own funded research that's going to help us develop tech for the future. So something that's 10 years ahead. An example of that is working on autonomous mobility for safety and surveillance in public modes of transport. We have a research project we're currently working on that's going to help bring visibility to public modes of transport and much more safety using autonomous vehicles, surveillance, or computer vision. Yeah, I think that's as much as I can share.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Janet. Really appreciate it. And we're going to call you back later on for a couple of questions. Thank you. And she was very modest when she was explaining to us, Annie, you know, artificial narrow intelligence, that's basically like a male who can only do one thing at a time. But thank you for being very gracious towards us. But really, really appreciate that. And we'll hear a little bit later. We're just going to have another conversation with Janet and the team. So next up, I want to introduce, he traveled quite far, not quite from China. But he was with us yesterday, and that is, let me read his bio. I think maybe that's the best thing to do. Our next speaker, his name is Calebo, or Caleb, as he prefers to be called. Gwalugano, and maybe you must just correct me if I pronounce his surname incorrectly. Yeah? But Caleb is a software engineer, machine learning engineer, and the founder of Neurotech Africa, an AI company that develops his focus is conversational AI solutions for African languages, you know, because most of it excludes the continent. He is passionate about democratizing natural language processing, NLP, tools for African languages, and empowering developers to build chatbots and conversational experiences that are tailored for the local context and culture. He's also an open source contributor, speaker, and an advocate for AI in Africa. Put your hands together for Caleb, that's going to make his way to the front. And I would love more of you to listen to what he's going to say, especially those of you that like talking to yourself. You can build a chat bot and speak to the bot. Then it looks absolutely normal. So over to Caleb. Caleb, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm very honored to be here. So I would like to start with my bio on how I did, why I'm here. So basically, not like Janet, my journey with AI didn't start in a formal way, like taking computer classes or going to some masters in AI. So basically, my background, my best for education is diploma in mechatronics engineering. So that's where, that's what I did in college. And my inspiration to do AI wasn't from some researchers or doing stuff in a very academic way. So I love movies, I love sci-fi, like Terminator and all the stuff. And and one of the day, my friend gave me a movie called Ex Machina. And from that movie, I was very inspired. They're kind of trying to depict this artificial super intelligence. And I was so very mind blown by the movie on what this thing could do. So it was so like a fantasy to me, like, oh, this is what AI is. I wanted to do this for my whole life. So I'm taking mechatronics diploma, and I say, from today, all I want to do is do AI. So yeah, so from that moment, like 5 years ago, that's where my journey kind of started to into its AI space. And yeah, I went to Google. How do I do AI? How do I do this? So like slowly by slowly, I begin kind of to learn to code AI and up to date. I have an AI company, so it's really it's like I'm really proud of where I am. Yeah, so I think this is a dream come true for me because I never imagined I'd be like in a space like this today, speaking to a lot of people about AI. So yeah, so to my talk, that's my intro. So so a lot of about this AI wave and AI hype, I think, has been very popularized by the ChatGPT, DALL-E. Yeah, but I think AI, as Marlon said, has been here for a while since 1950s. Alan Turing, and also like almost every people, most of you, every day, you probably go around AI models. If you're going on Facebook, we're trying to look at your feeds. So this Facebook, they're trying to learn as much about you and try to give you content you like. So it's AI under the knees. If you're Googling stuff, they're using AI to give you those content. So, I mean, AI has been here for a while, and most of people are using AI. But what's so different about now, this beyond this AI hype, is that AI is coming for everyone. So back in the days, AI was for these big corps, maybe Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. They're using AI to kind of give you, to sell service to you, or maybe you're the product, they give you content you like. But now AI is kind of changing in a way that normal people can use AI as a product, not as a customer. You know, so I can go to ChatGPT. Maybe I haven't been so much into corporate life, and now I want to write a professional email. I can go to ChatGPT, write me an email in a style of Elon Musk to this company, be optimistic, be this way, and then an email pops up, and then it's very professional. So I'm using it as a creator now, not as a consumer or not as a product, as a product as it has been. So I think that's what's so very new and has so much possibilities. Yeah, so that's what they have changed so much. And what this brings to us, I think it's one of the areas I think behind this AI hype is AI is coming as some sort of an equalizer. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of, there's expert in areas, maybe in most of the area, there's expert, there's people who are average, and there's people who are beginners. So, and there's people who don't know anything, they just know an idea. So I think one of the areas I think AI is coming for is coming as an equalizer that if you know what you want and you can express what you want, AI can help you do it. So you don't have to be an expert in a field for a long time to do something or to develop a product. So yeah, as Rene was saying, AI is coming for graphic designer. uh, yeah, so basically I don't have to be a professional graphic designer for a long time to create an amazing poster today. I can just go to DALL-E or Midjourney. I can write my prompt in what I want, and then an image pops up. I don't need to be a very professional in the area for a long time. So that's what AI I think is coming for. I think most of the people who are going to benefit out of this are beginners, not even experts. Because experts, they know what they want, they're good at what they do, they're great designers, but most of beginners are very new, they want to excel in the field. So AI kind of give you the power to, it's like it leap you forward like years ahead. So you don't need to know a lot of stuff to do stuff. Yeah, so I think also for expert, for example, I'm a software developer, and yesterday the server was down, and I had to put it up. So I was using ChatGPT to quickly give me commands to put in the, yeah, so I'm an expert, but these tools give me like superpower, you know, like something that took me a day to develop, I can now do it in hours. So there's tools for developer like Copilot. It speeds up the amazing development. But I think for most of the people who are going to benefit of this is people who are not expert in an area, but they at least know what they want to get out of it. That's what AI is coming for, and I think it's going to be very tremendous. And the depths of which AI is going to help you are going, I think it's now coming to the creativity now. Yeah, because AI is just a tool. It's not going to imaginary think going to get what you think and help you out. But I think the crucial part, I think now it's going to be now how to how to communicate with this AI to get what you want. Yeah, so that I think is one of the areas I think. And another area I would like to talk about is maybe productivity. So I think AI is going to really boost out a lot of productivity. So just to give an example, few days I was in a call, in a Google meeting, and I was in a call with a single person, but I found that 2 persons joined the call, and I'm like, who is the other person? And the guy's like, this is an AI, is going to listen to the call, it's going to transcribe everything, and at the end of the Google meeting, it's going to send you a summary of the action teams and everything of what the meeting is about. So just imagine, that was a job for secretary. So 2 people had to join the meeting, one to take notes, and to compile everything to action notes and what you need to do after the call. It gives you amount of time you speak in a meeting. So if you're speaking too much, it gives you a tone of what you're speaking, if it's a negative tone in a meeting. So it's going to give you a lot of summary that you wouldn't have known on your own, or if somebody had to tell you about. And because it's AI, it doesn't even, maybe if I'm a person, I can say, no, this is so offensive, I cannot tell you. But if as an AI, you can now tell you everything about what you're going to do. So that's just Google Meeting. But there's there's an explosion of these AI tools almost for everything. So from Google Meeting, if I go to type on email, there's Compose email. I receive an email, I can just reply, compose reply, and then it's going to kind of reply to the email without me being able to write the email manually. So I think there's a lot of AI tools that are coming from like so many areas. So I think one of the key, they say AI will not replace people, but people who use AI will replace people who don't use AI. Yeah, so I think one of the key pillar of anybody now can do is just to be upskill yourself. It's not a hype. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, it's not a hype. It's not a hype, and it's going to be very transformative. And one of the key things you can do is just to upskill yourself, to be aware in what you do, what kind of tool can I use to super improve what I do. So if you can 10x to a job, nobody's going to replace you. But if you're just doing your work in a normal way or in a usual way, but tomorrow somebody comes, can do your work, just a teenager like me, I can do your work at 10x speed and 10x efficiency, probably you're in a threat of me replacing you, right? Yeah, so I think ChatGPT is cool, or this DALL-E is cool, but there's a lot of other tools that are very specific, like they're very specific to the use case or based on the industry. If you are doing modeling, you're doing some like modeling, there's a lot of tools for every area that you're in. So I think the key pillar is now looking where you are, what's your profession, are you a banker, what tools can you use? Just to give an example, there's something called chat to contract. Yeah, so if I want an ADA quick, if I want to develop an NDA quick, or I want to just like employment contract, I don't need a lawyer. So there's a company, it's a law firm that develops something like chat to contract, where I can just go there, type I want a contract for this and this, I can give the detail of the company, and then automatically it's pulling out the contract for me. Yeah, so I think, so as for a lawyer, so this could be something that lawyer can do. They can just use this kind of tool to kind of pull their template, and then they can edit a bit and get a contract. So I think there's amazing number of AI tools that people can use to kind of boost out their normal life. So another thing I'd like to talk about is, as you can see, most of these AI models, or most of the things which are trending now, they're owned by very few companies. So you see there's OpenAI, if you're in a trend, there's OpenAI, there's Google, there's maybe Stability AI. So you find out most of the key transformative technology that we use every day is owned by very few companies, which means that if few companies can try to impose an agenda, they can actually do it because they own the infrastructure for everything that is going to be almost in every part, powering every part of our daily life is going to be powered by this kind of tools. But it's owned by very few companies, and there's going to be some like impact on that. So like, if you put too much power on few people, it's not a good thing, right? Yeah, so I think, there've been like a lot of community push to kind of create open source vision of these tools so that we don't put so much power on a few companies that control such a transformative technology for all of us. So, there's a recent effort of something like we call open source models. So a kind of like powerful tool like this, but they're not owned by a specific company. So they're open source for people to now launch your own ChatGPT kind of tools in your own company that is private and not shared with these third parties. Yeah, there's something like Vicuna, there's something like Koala. And what does this mean is that we as African, let's say we're so much diverse in terms of language, culture, and values and everything. With the release of these tools like open source models around this language and everything, we can really utilize them to kind of craft them with our own data, our own value, so that it serves us well. Because where we're going, the future is digital. Like Gen Z and everything, people are going to be spending most of the time in the digital, and the digital is covered by Western culture, right? So the chance of our culture and everything we value being erased by this digital era and this AI hype is really a threat. And if we're gonna just relax here and be our consumers and users of this AI hype, AI technologies, there's a chance that the future, as we know, as African, is going to be very different with most of things that we value not being in the AI, because people are not going to use, most of the things are going to be digital, and this infrastructure is going to power almost everything. So I think with this release of these tools like open source models and AI, I think it's a chance for us stepping up and trying to use this kind of tools to feed its own data, to create our own vision of these language models. Yeah, so I think one of the key trends, so one of the things we do as like, I run a company called Neotech Africa, and we built Sarufi. And what Sarufi does is the kind of help people to kind of create this kind of chatbot in their own languages, but our key focus now is helping these African languages put on the map. Yeah, so one of the barriers you find out of deploying AI solution for Africa is data. That we don't have a lot of data infrastructure to deploy this kind of AI solution, but we won't have data if we don't have product to collect this data. So even for Western, you find out they don't just get data because they have product. They have Facebook, they have TikTok, they have a lot of product that we use every day, and as we use it every day, we create data. Now, how many products do we have as African that help us build this data to kind of build this AI solution? So I think one of the key things we need to do is now step up, build a solution which use this use our language now, and from this we can kind of create the data we need to create tools that fit as well. Yeah, so I think so basically that's what I think most of the time, like, how can we as African like innovate or put this on the map in this AI hype. Yeah, so basically that's what I want to talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caleb. All the way from Dar es Salaam, all the way from Tanzania. You came very far to come and share that with us. I just got a very quick announcement. If you are driving a white Golf CY 147230, you left your laptop on the back seat and your car is parked outside and it's sorted. Okay, he got it. It wasn't the laptop from a taxi, it was an actual laptop. Okay, so next up, thank you so much. Caleb, we're gonna move on, and our final speaker very quickly is a gentleman that I met, and I always tell the story. I'm sorry, Storm. His name is Storm Roder. I met him, I remember, for breakfast one day, and after I came home, and I was like, I felt like I haven't achieved anything in life after speaking to him for breakfast, and I was like, wow, I felt like I needed to kind of, pull up my socks, and this was not so long ago, but Storm Roder is in 2020, Storm represented South Africa at the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair, right? He had this amazing project that was showcased at the world stage. His project also received the official Intel ISEF 2020 abstract and certification, and was approved by the Scientific Review Committee. Storm 2020, you were at school, right? You were at school. 2020, eh? I'm just kind of want you to understand, listen to me very carefully. He's also the founder of African Intelligent Machines, also better known as AIM. He specialized in developing cutting-edge AI technology solutions for a wide range of industries, with a focus on the medical sector, from improving patient outcomes and streamlining clinical processes to empowering intelligent medical devices or solutions, to improving efficiency and productivity. And they are constantly exploring more ways of how they can harness the power of AI to improve the lives of people and drive economic growth. So please put your hands together for Mr. Storm. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, R Labs, for letting me speak. It's a really great opportunity just to introduce AI to everyone. I think I'm just going to start off my journey and how it all started, just to break down and step through that process, and then just talk a little about safety and around AI and how you should think or approach it. So as Marlon said, I was in high school back in 2020, and I basically created an algorithm to detect pneumonia in chest x-rays, CT scans, and MRIs. Not CT scans, but and essentially that process started, or I think as Janet said, when you're thinking of how you must implement AI, it needs to be relative, and also not just try and bolt it onto anything because it's this hype, because you'll actually find that it's less sufficient, or it actually causes more damage than you wanted it to. So when starting my Science Expo project, I was in Hout Bay and I went to our clinic over there and I was like, okay, what issue is in our clinic? And the response was respiratory diseases. At the time was TB, which is still a massive issue in South Africa and Africa as a whole. But getting access to the data, I could only get access to pneumonia. So I pivoted to that, and I thought, let me see if I can create a model around that focus. From there, I actually went to radiologists, because when you're building a product or even a solution, or you're coming up with an idea, you need to think who's going to use it and will it actually benefit that person that you wanted to use, or at least that group of people you want to use it to interact with. And speaking with the radiologists, being an engineer, you sometimes think, I have this great idea and I want to go through this route and I think it's the best thing, but then you find out I haven't actually spoken to who my user is or the people I want to use the platform, and you realize, oh, there's so many improvements I can make to it. So from there, I spoke to about 3 different radiology practices, and then we found how can we actually improve it and what the radiologist actually needs to look at when they want the report. So essentially how it works is, at AIM, we have this platform where radiologists can upload their DICOM images into the viewer or into an open source viewer, and then from that, it generates a report and localizes where it thinks the pneumonia is for the radiologist. And essentially that's what happens from the medical side of things. But I think just to speak on the use of AI with these open source models and ChatGPT, I think it's also very important to be data conscious, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at legal documentation or wanting to use your own IP for coming up with your ideas, remember that these models are using or storing this data somewhere. Just like everything on the internet, when you post on social media, this data is going somewhere. So at least be conscious if you're coming up with ideas or putting out personal information on the internet that it might be used somewhere in the future down the line. So don't just throw everything into ChatGPT or any platform, because there's some security concerns from that perspective. So just pivoting back to the journey. So as Marlon said, I represent South Africa and took part in a few other competitions just to demonstrate that AI can actually be used in this field accurately. Because obviously you see a lot of people, they're putting different models out on the internet, but they don't validate it. So when you do something, it's important that you validate your process from beginning to end and have the key stakeholders involved in that. And essentially that's what AIM has done and what we do. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Storm. And for those of you that don't know what the word open source means, I'm now reminded that you hear the word open source So that is typically, for some of you who remember that it's a whole family, everybody uses the same, you know, you use the same thing and you share it and you make it look better. Yeah, so that's most probably my definition of open source. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite our speakers just to join me in the front, Janet, Storm, and Wes Caleb. If they can just quickly come to the front, and we're going to just open the floor for some questions. Is that okay? I'm going to put them on the spot now. My brief to them was that the people in the room are most probably the brightest people that we know on this continent. Highly intelligent, and they're going to ask intelligent questions. You don't have to ask intelligent questions. Anything that you want some clarification on. So I'm going to ask Caleb to come, and Janet and Storm, please come and join me. And we're just going to quickly, please you can, we're gonna have a little discussion and also just open up for anyone that has some questions that you might have around what you've heard, maybe some questions about artificial intelligence itself, and that's what we're going to be doing. So before I start, because I most probably will have some questions, maybe there's someone in the room that has a question that you would like to ask. Now's a good opportunity to do so. Here's a hand right up. Oh, there's two hands. Okay, so we're gonna, if we can just bring the microphone. So what we'll do is that okay? Can we just open up for questions? Is that okay? And what you could do is you could just introduce yourself, and then if you're quick, you can just ask the question, and then, yeah.
Okay, my name's Presley. Oh,
Careful with the coffee there, Presley, yeah?
sorry, I'm kind of an introverted person. I don't like socializing myself with people, so this is kind of like a big thing for me, because I'm one of the youngest people here. I'm still a student. So my questions were, as you guys said, that AI is gonna change the world, it's gonna improve people's lives, but it's also gonna destroy some of people's lives, because lots of people are gonna lose their jobs, because people nowadays are so used to what they have already been doing that they're not willing to change. So my questions were, as you said, ma'am, you are a person that creates self-driving cars, but have you also tackled the difficulties of that these cars can also be hacked and also be used to maybe kill, or the government could take control of this type of technology and use it in negative ways? Because in this world that we're living in, the government is what controls everything, and if they do manage to grab a hold of the technologies you people have been working on, they can use it in very, very negative ways to harm people's lives. For example, America has struck, what's that country's name again? I forgot, but they went to war with Russia. I think it was because of the petrol or something like that. So they attacked this other, Russia attacked this other nation. I forgot Ukraine. So if Ukraine had these type of technologies, right, and Russia found a way to hack these type of technologies, they could have actually made even more damage to the environment, and the people are the ones that are actually suffering more, because the government is safe, because the people that work for the government are not getting affected, but the people are. So what I wanted to ask, have you already asked yourself, what if, because it's going to be very hard for you to say, no, my technology is never going to be hacked, because there's always going to be that one situation that would change everything, one situation where your technology is really going to be hacked. So what are you going to do once that happens? And that was the question that I had.
Thank you. For an introvert, that's yo. He deserves a round of applause. You my kind of introvert. So I don't know, Janet, you maybe want to tackle that question?
Absolutely.
You know, some comments? Yeah?
I mean, first of all, I don't really think you're an introvert. We need to discuss that. And then, secondly, we live in a world where crime, misdemeanor, threats will always be there. always. Whether we're talking about technology, or whether we're talking about anything as simple as food, water, there will always be people on the other side of the fence who want to cause trouble or go against something that's good. So it's a very good question to use as an opener. How we work, or how most technologies work, is you always think of worst case scenarios as you're building. I'd like to reference something Renee said earlier, that AI is not a singular technology. It's part of an ecosystem of other technologies. And one of those technologies that help to prevent threats is cyber security, cyber intelligence. That within itself is one of the building blocks as you're going along, as an engineer, as a developer, even as an innovator. Also referencing my fellow speaker here's one of the things you mentioned was looking at the data, or was it you? Or I'm not sure, but but I was paying attention, and someone did talk about the data. Looking at how you manipulate the data, how you manage it, where you store it. All of that is a conversation that's within the scope of security. So these are very serious things that we do consider on a day-to-day basis. One of the ways, or one of the parameters we put in place at my time at Baidu is we used to limit the autonomy level. There's different types of levels of autonomy. I think we get up to level 8 or 6. And we couldn't allow the vehicle to be autonomous to the point where it's at 8, which would be, if you remember when I explained Annie, Assie, and Aggie, once you get to 8, it's in super intelligence mode. It's moving completely autonomous. It decides where it wants to go, how it wants to maneuver, at what speed. So we never, in this space, allow technology to get to that point where it's hands off, hands off. It's a very dangerous place to be. Without getting too much into this, if you have been following autonomous tech or autonomous self-driving cars, if you look at Tesla, for example, they don't have full autonomy when it comes to their vehicles. How many accidents or scary scenarios have you heard about where the car or the driver puts the car in autonomous mode and it drives into a tree, or it hits someone, or it crashes, so the tech is not at a place where we can actually do that yet. And I would like to be an optimist and think that all engineers, all innovators are going to have some level of considerations, and that at government level, we need to, at some point, have the conversation about policies, regulations, and ethics that can help to standardize, how we manipulate technology, how we build technology. To what degree can I do what I want? Can I build what I want? And what are the parameters that can protect society? So I think that's what I have to say about it. But you're definitely thinking about some of the important things that we need to consider.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Janet. I know there's I think Chris, and then the gentleman over here. Yeah, and then we'll come to your question, as well as at the back, yeah. So maybe what we'll do is we'll take the 2 questions, if that's okay, and then after that you respond, and then we'll give a chance for the back. Okay.
Hi, Chris Simpson here. I'm in the tech of fashion. I aim to connect designers to clothing makers via AI. My biggest concern is data. Data access in South Africa, data access in Africa. There's this huge thing of people want to hold on to it, corporates want to hold on to it. They're thinking about monetizing it, but they're not getting to that point, which is holding back SMMEs like myself. In your opinion, what are the platforms we can actually access right here, right now, quick, fast, because R&D is consistent. With the evolution of technology, we need to be on a constant movement of R&D. With that, raw data access. In your opinion, where can we find it? Please help me.
Okay, thank you. We can just do another question quickly, and then we'll give an opportunity for someone to respond to that. Yeah.
Hey. My name is Akeem. I just want to know, for someone like a developer wanting to get started in AI, where do they get started and how do they start? Because searching on Google can be extremely overwhelming, So basically, what would be, key website or key concept to get started on those things?
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna take those two questions, and then at the end, yeah. So whoever wants to respond to that, and then there's a question also at the back that we'll do afterwards. So I don't know who wants to respond to the data question, and then where to start.
I have two or three words to respond to the data question. Open source, like literally go on Google, open source data set for XXX, what you're looking for. Please don't type XXX. What you're looking for, open source data sets for, I don't know, fashion, something. One website you can go to that I love to look for open source data sets is Kaggle. So that's a great place to go, and you also find competitions. Yeah.
For me, I would say if you're trying to build something commercial, don't go with open source. Because basically anybody can build a competitive product around it. So I think if you're trying to really come with something commercial, you can, collect your own data. There's a way to augment your data, but I think the best approach will be get a team, collect your data. You can augment it to teams, increase the size of the training data, and then train it. So I think that's the approach, because if you're going to do something commercial using open source data, and one of the key that maybe this open source data may be something corrected on people from Europe, let's say, or people from certain state in US, and are trying to develop something for local people, and there's kind of dress and everything. So sometimes it might help you get some very initial prototype, but eventually if you want to launch a product, I would say collect the data that is actually fits the kind of context you want your product to be. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll touch on a little bit from my side at least. For at least our approach when you're initially looking at the medical sector, it was really difficult to get access to X-rays and MRIs, obviously due to the regulations around it. But our approach was to directly approach those different stakeholders, so the different radiology practices, and out of 10, 7 said no, but 3 did. And from that, we built a data set of 15,000 X-rays, which was relatively small in consider of AI. But obviously, as we've grown the product and done what we do now and expand our hardware access, we actually create synthetic data. And essentially, that process is when you generate your own data. It's not exactly always easy, depending on what you're doing, but it is something also you can consider. So in the fashion industry, if you had to generate, essentially, if you have to look at it, sometimes you have a T-shirt, right? But to build a data set, you need different variations of the data. So you can do data augmentation, where you change the color of the T-shirt or various edits to it to try and build a more robust data set. So it doesn't have to be creating new data from the ground up, but making slight changes to it just to increase your generalization of your data set to help you with your data issue.
The question on where to start if you want to delve into AI.
Once again, very straightforward. Andrew Young, I think up till today, he probably has one of the best courses on how to get started with AI. Very straightforward. He's well-versed. I think it's on Coursera. Yeah, it's Coursera, and it's called Machine Learning 101. You want to help me out?
So the course I did a while back, just before I got out of high school, was on Coursera. So you can just search on Coursera. But what's nice about that is they actually step you through the actual theory behind it, and there's also different courses. So for example, if you have interest in natural language processing or computer vision or deep learning or reinforcement learning, there's different routes you can take. And the nice thing about Coursera is that you can actually write a motivational letter to do the course for free. So yeah, well, you have to write a letter to it. So that's what I did. I wrote a letter saying, can I do this course for these reasons? And I got approved. So it's a nice way to build your own, and you get a certificate, so you can put it on your LinkedIn or build a resume with it.
Just to add on top of that, I found out Coursera very hard to start. So it depends. So if you have good mathematical backgrounds, go with NRNG or those fundamental machine learning courses. But if you just don't have that very much good mathematical background, you can take a top-down approach. So top-down approach is that you start in the beginning, that you don't have to know everything what is happening in the NIS, you just know what you're doing. So there's a course like Fast AI, which is very centered on that. they can help you train a computer vision model in few like 6 lines of code. And then as you go through the code, they kind of try to unpack what is happening underneath, oh, this is what is happening. So I think you can try to, yeah, there's a lot of path nowadays. I think that you can take a top-down approach that you don't need to understand what's happening, but you can understand as you kind of learn through the process. So build something, get excited, and then, oh, what is happening underneath? Yeah. So there's fast AI, but also I would say learn fast AI, learn some very fundamental machine learning. You can also jump direct to something like Hugging Face. So I think for me, the way I learn is that I need to get excited. So I need to learn, build something, it works, and then I get excited to learn more. So if you go to Hugging Face, they give you, it's not very hard to learn, and you don't have initially to understand underneath happening under the hood, but you can build a lot. There's a lot of thousands of open source models around computer vision and NLP. You can be deploying AI solution without being an expert in a matter of a week, and as you go through, you can, yeah. That's my recommendation for those who are not, doesn't have a strong mathematical background who are trying to get into AI, yeah.
No, thank you. I know there was 2 more hands at the back and then 1 in front. So we're just gonna, what we'll do is we'll take the 3 questions or 4 questions, and then we'll give you time to respond. And for those of you that are interested in where to start with AI, I think we'll get our team to compile a list of how to start, if that's okay, and then we'll share it publicly. So we'll do that. So we take the 3, 4 questions, and then we'll give you time to respond.
Okay, thank you, Marlon. Hi there, my name is Andre, and I'm an artist, and I wanted to ask, like, what did I want to ask? I wanted to ask, like, on a scale from 1 to 10, like, how original is the ideas that come from AI? And also what I wanted to know is, can it innovate a new idea? Yeah, basically.
There's one at the back, and then there's, okay.
Are they going to respond? Hi there. I'm D, known as DJ Ready D. I work in the music field. I work in radio, music production, and so on. And on the other end, we also work in the non-profit space as well when it comes to road safety specifically and youth development. So I just wanted to ask Janet, with regards to the autonomous technology, is there any of the vehicles or any of the simulators, is it available for the public to experience or access? So the question is twofold, and then the other half of the question is there an opportunity for collaboration with entities such as ourselves as well? So we've been doing road safety for about 8 years right now. Our skills are advanced driving, specifically within the drifting realm and so on. So we've been bringing youth into all of these programs. We've also assisted local government grow their online presence as well. And the only thing that we find a little disheartening is that there's an increase in road fatalities, especially with young people. And during certain periods of the year, especially when we're going to public holidays, there's a huge increase in fatalities and deaths due to drinking and driving and all these things. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around the possibilities for collaboration and to see how we can urgently bring down the numbers, and hopefully one day we can reach a point where there's 0 road fatalities.
Thank you for that question. Maybe it's, yeah, we'll do it in front, yeah? That's the young lady right over here. I hope you're all taking note of the questions, eh?
Hi, I'm Yusra, and I'm really nervous right now. So I'm an environmental scientist graduate, and I just wanted to know, like, since AI is a revolutionary technology, and since technology had a negative effect on, like, the environment, I just wanted to know what measures are being put into place to limit any negative impacts on the environment.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's answer those 3, and then we're going to come to the other 2 that where the hands were up. Okay, 3. So, go for it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I think the first question had to do with technology being able to innovate based on pre-existing data sets or something like that. It's debatable, but I would like to say on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being a yes and 1 being a no, I'll probably put it down to maybe a 2, because if we ask ourselves, what is it generating any kind of solution or any design? I think you were speaking more of graphic design, right? It's on the back end of data that's being aggregated into something. So it's other people's information that's being generated into maybe a graphic design or whatnot. And yeah, do you call that innovative? That becomes, the question. And that's why I say it's debatable. I don't think it's innovative. I think it's just playing around with, different types of generated images, but that's not innovative. I've been in the art space before, and I know that art has a story. It's emotional. It has context. It has emotion. You can't attach that type of innovation with AI. So that's where my thoughts are. Yeah.
Maybe anyone else has got a different view or want to add to that view on the panel?
I think I'll just add to it. Like Janet said, to simplify it, if you think of what these models are, these large language or multimodal models, is to break it down, which is not 100% accurate, but to simplify it, think of it as a complex search engine where all of these this data set that which the model is trained on, which is pre-existing data, is just finding what's most accurate to what you've requested. So for example, if you say generate a picture of the future classroom, it's basically going through that entire data set and trying to find what is the most accurate words that can create this image. So, a classroom, what's associated to a classroom? It's tables, desks, what's associated with the future? Flying cars, sci-fi, rounded geometry, and that's how it gets this answer. But it's all built on previous information that's been exposed to. So would I say it's innovative at this point currently? I would also say it tends to 0 on the lower side of the scale as well.
So we're still safe. Maybe Janet, just quickly the question around the car safety and.
Oh, absolutely. Is there an opportunity for collaborations? Absolutely. I think we're at a point where we've spent too much time in our heads with my team, too much time working on the project. We've simulated it in artificial environments, and we also want to start having real life interactions and to see, how can we interact with more organizations or more people, and yeah. I mean, one of the things that the tech does itself in the space of this thesis or this academic research is being able to bring accountability using technology, being able to use computer vision that's constantly surveilling drivers or someone in a passenger seat and watching their behavior and equating it to the response of the vehicle. So definitely it's applicable within some of the use cases you mentioned, drinking and driving. You've had a little bit to drink. We all know what you're going to look like. Your left eye is going to be twitching. You're going to look like a little drowsy. We can train a model to identify that type of behavior and ultimately get the vehicle to lock, stop, or slow down, or send a signal to any official. And then I think your first question was about... Is it, yes, please do remind me.
Any of those autonomous, I was asking if any of those autonomous vehicles or any simulators do exist, and if so, can the public actually interact with it?
Okay, so in terms of the public interacting with it, we'll need to have a very controlled environment. It would need to be, we'll need to make it some kind of workshop. It would not be something we put on the road, or there's a lot of regulation attached to that type of tech being on a public road, interfacing other vehicles that may not necessarily be in the connected mobility space that, you need to have other vehicles also communicate with that particular vehicle for them to operate in some sort of cohesion and not end up having collision. So that's something we're not ready to put out yet, but we're working on the project as a way to demonstrate what's possible and as a way to explore different types of use cases. Same technology can be applied as well to autonomous farming. It can be applied to a possible future where, you know, we have districts or residential areas where there are a lot of maybe older people that don't necessarily have assistance and maybe need to dial a number or send a message, and there's an ambulance, a pod, an autonomous pod waiting outside. You just hop in, you pass out, and it takes you to the nearest hospital, and you know, and there you go. So we're trying to see what other, you know, most feasible possibility or use cases in the future. But for now, interaction with the public, it's definitely not possible. But we can have a partnership for more controlled environment to do a demo, for example. Yeah.
Thank you. And then the question on the environment?
Yes.
Want to have a response on that?
I just have a few words as to that. So with the AI space or the fourth industrial space, we're processing much more data, which means we have more hardware devices out there that are adding to the carbon footprint. And so we now actually have organizations that track other organizations' carbon footprint, because you're going to have servers, you're going to have computers, you're taking up more electricity, you're taking up more power to compute, because it's at such a large scale. Companies like Amazon, for example, or Google. So there is something like that already. You can look at it, I think it's called digital carbon footprint, something like that. Different types of impact organizations or climate change organizations track that. And there's definitely some level of accountability that's already in place and standardized. On the continent, maybe not necessarily yet, but it's definitely something in the works. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to do the last round of questions. So I know there was a hand up over here. Ooh, okay, we might need to do okay, the last two rounds. Okay.
Hi.
So just before we do it, so there was a hand there, over there. See that hand, saw that hand, and saw that hand, and then there was one more hand. These are not the last hands. Okay. Okay. Now, so there's 7 hands that went up. So if we can keep the questions as short and sweet. And we'll kind of get to it. So what we'll do is we'll do 3, and then you respond, and then So over to you.
Oh, hi, my name is Jade. I'm a student here at Art Labs with all the other team. Anyway, just 2 questions. Excuse me, I do struggle to construct sentences, so I hope you guys catch my drift. The first question is, how do all 3 of you feel like, knowing you guys are in the whole AI vibe, seeing entertainment, for instance, like maybe Simpsons or even Black Mirror, just programs in entertainment that kind of throwing hints of AI predictions, and knowing you guys are in that industry, like what are your hot takes on that, if I may ask? And then I would just, like, to my understanding, you more in the communications. I also want to know what is your take on AI within communications, but mainly looking at a specific group of people that is excluded. One of those groups may be being people that are deaf. So with AI, usually like what you showed us with the chatbots, is actual people you get to sit down and you actually get to type down. Or some people that are blind that get to speak and then the program speaks back to them. But then what about like people that are deaf, and there is like, this whole universal sign language, like what is your take on that, as well as your take, which is more dwelling into healthcare, also AI, but more looking into mental health issues, as we all know, PTSD, anxiety, all of those things, and a lot of doctors might go back into where they'll use your programs, for instance, for CT scans and seeing all of those things, but just like your hot takes as,
Okay, thank you. There's a couple of questions.
Sorry.
It's like a whole exam paper. Okay, there was one question over here as well, Maratia, before we go there. Okay, okay. You can ask your question quickly, and then we'll come over here, and then we'll do the questions at the back.
Okay. Hello, my name is Noctura. I'm here with Babes Got Vibes. I have a question. Well, I thought about it right now. Since you've been talking about AI, how does it do? And I'm thinking we have a problem in South Africa. It's a major problem, which is load shedding. So now I'm thinking, how can we use AI to like help this problem to go away because it's affecting us daily? So now I'm like, voila, this could be a solution. And also, I have the question, when you started to talk, you mentioned something that when you heard about AI, you started to get scared that maybe people will lose their jobs like in the future. So I would like to know, like, since you've been in the industry, would you like confirm what you thought about, like when you started? Would you say that would happen like in 10 years down the line, or should we just relax that AI won't take our jobs? That's my question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then just the one, and then we're going to hand it over to you, and then we're going to do the last round of questions. The hands that was up, right? We saw the hands, and we will give that an opportunity. And try and keep it to one question. Go for it.
I don't know how to stand, Zach. Yeah, but thank you for the great insights on AI. My name is Senzo. My question is also a bit linked to what she asked about Africa knowing is not a first world country. We're still like developing. So not a lot of people have access to the internet, to smartphones and all these other things. So how do we still continue to motivate people to think about these things while in our continent we're still facing these challenges such as access to internet or electricity? So how do we still motivate to people to still see these possibilities while they are facing the immediate issues around these things that I've mentioned? And then the one more one around like autonomous driving. I just wanted to get your thoughts. I know like one of the things I saw was like self-driving cars having to determine like in issues like accident, you know, some people will just like let go of the steering and whatever that will happen. But in some instances, the decisions have to be made whether like there's a pedestrian crossing the road and one is like an older person, one is a younger person. So which life do you take in that instance? Yeah, so I thought I should just also throw that out there.
Okay, so what we'll do is I know that was a lot of questions. So whatever you can recall, if you can just respond to that. Yeah. So over to whoever wants to start off.
I think I'll start with the question about electricity. I mean, it's a blessing to have the lights on to start with, but there's something called predictive analytics. This is probably one of the early stages of AI, one of the early use cases of AI that were commercialized, you know, being able to simply take large amounts of data and use them to predict insights for the future. And that can be applied to what's called demand-side management. It's doing the exact same thing, but using it for energy, you know, applications. Maybe how many people have their fridges on or their geysers on at this time of the day, and how much power do we have available on the grid, and how can we manage that and balance that and make power available or switch off certain devices using maybe sensors and yeah. So definitely there are applications, but these are not applications that you and I can apply. These are applications that are reserved for certain people within society and within the economy to do the right thing and do their work. I don't know if anyone is one of those people. You should probably not let us know because we will come for you. But definitely that's the type of, you know, application I would say AI is more relevant for that. Don't know if anyone wants to add.
I think you covered it pretty well.
All right.
Maybe you want to get to the question up, yeah?
Oh, okay. So I think she asked about inclusivity. I think, you know Stephen Hawking? Yeah, Stephen Hawking couldn't speak, but he had a machine, a chair that when he looked at using AI, he could type through the keyboard using AI. So it's some kind of AI that can look at the eye movement and can help you type. So basically, I think there's been a effort to kind of make this kind of technology introduce more inclusive to the to people. So I think recently Google launched something to deaf people. So they you could use AI to translate sign language to speaking language, to spoken language. Yeah. So instead of you having to know the sign language or confusing what people are saying, you can just have an AI that can look at the sign language movement and can give you a speech, or yeah, so something like that. So there's been tool that for people with, I think, LS, they cannot speak well, that you can understand, but using AI, it can help pick that sound and translate it into a way that you can understand. So I think there have been like amazing effort to really push forward to, yeah. So I don't think if I answered your question, but I think I can talk also about Senzo question that maybe as African, we have immediate issues that we need to address, and also there's this AI wave now coming up, and how can people really adjust to this? So for me, I would think AI not as another agenda, but AI as also a way to us address our issues. So what us bring is like it gives you as a new way of looking at our problem. That's what AI really does. So it's not only about digital, or it's not about work. It could also stretch to how can thinking how can this is what we know AI is capable of. Now how can we put it into how can you address what issues we say? So it's like thinking it cannot do everything. Yeah, but also I think it's highly capable of really applying it to really solve our issues. Yeah, so that's what I think I can say about AI and how I think about AI. That not just as a separate issue, but as a means to us achieving our
I think just to answer your question on the medical health, and then I'll touch a bit on the fear of AI. Medical health side, at least from what I've noticed when liaison with different doctors, and I think with AI as a whole, it's not, you don't always need AI to replace something in every aspect. There's certain things that do work. So in the medical space, AI is, it's up for debate currently, but currently right now I don't think there's a need to replace or ever to replace a medical professional. It's more of a tool that we'll use to arm and help them with their job. And the main issue that medical professionals has is workload. You know, you have like 10,000 patients to 100 doctors or something like that. So from mental health side, I think, you know, it's more of just how can you assist the psychiatrist or the psychologist during their workload, and to assist them from that perspective, not ever to replace it. I don't think it would be good to talk to a chatbot about your mental issues. I think it's probably to talk to a professional expert. And even though that these models have these data sets they've been trained on, at the end of the day, it lacks empathy. It lacks a lot of things that has human touch to it. And to talk on the job scare, I think, you know, job scare is one thing, you know, but it's I come to this thought that I've had, you know, and we have computers, right? You know, there's quantum computing, which is incredibly powerful, but at the end of the day, we still have something that's super powerful, which is the biological computer, and that's the human brain. From a power efficiency perspective, you know, it's so dense from these massive data centers. So as a person, there's certain things that might change, your job description might change, or your roles, but it leaves room for you to upskill yourself. So while, you know, if you were a street sweeper, now there's the Roomba, the little robot, it gives you an opportunity to now try a new medium or something else to pursue. So don't look at it as something that you should be fearful of, but more something you should be excited for, a new route you can embrace. I think that should be the, at least, outlook or methodology.
I second that 110%.
Thank you. So this is not the last round of questions, and we saw those hands already, okay? So we're going to quickly go through it. Please keep it to one question. Yeah, so
Hi, good morning. I'm Lyneth. I have a family of entrepreneurs, and so obviously I'm here looking for ideas, you know, for the small business. But I want to just make a statement, I think, for young people who have to still decide about what they're going to study, where they're going to study. There's a fantastic panel and a variety. You know, we've got Janet who studied, you know, MBA and I don't know what else. And then we have the others that were just, you know, they just self-enrich themselves using the internet. So I just want to make that statement. And maybe you can just speak to those young people in terms of their decision-making, in terms of the future, you know, which which should I spend the 50,000 a year and go to university, or should I go the other route? Maybe just your comments on that. And then secondly, if you have any ideas for the entrepreneur, any tools for productivity that maybe for your particular business worked, maybe you can just mention a few more of those.
Perfect. Thank you so much. The hand at the back, we saw that. And then I know there were 1 and 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alina. We are busy with a community organization, Mothers of Nation, and about more than 80,000 babies were born too soon in South Africa, and that is not even speaking about those beyond our borders. And so my question is, as you're speaking about respiratory and medical professionals, that there is a crisis where mothers are giving birth before 38 weeks, and that has long-term effects. So hypertension is one of the leading causes of premature births. And also there is a shortage of staff at clinics, not only in the rural areas, but also in our communities. And also according to stats that came out last year, more than 600 children between the ages of 9 to 10 gave birth. And so when they come to the clinic, there's not only a shortage of staff, but sometimes there's a thing of, but why did you open your legs? Why did you look for it? So there's also a socialization and empathetic training that has to go into the clinics and the medical professionals, because no 9 to 10-year-old is really going to look to be pregnant. And when they come to the hospitals, I'm not saying all, I'm just speaking the reality out there. When they give birth, derogatory statements are made to children that come from abuse, sexual abuse, rape in the family. And in our communities, there's a lot of sexualization from a young age. You go to the corner shop and you buy a newspaper, I won't name the names, and then you see the stories which has an impact. Unfortunately, the movies and the series that the parents are watching has an effect on the children, because there's murder in this, rape in this, everything else.
Can I just ask for the question, please?
The question is, we don't want to be a Fitbit, but what we've decided to have a solution for mothers it's open source, and we wanted to find out if you help organizations collaborate or guide organizations such as ourselves. We're thinking about a wristband that will give an early alert wristband for pregnant moms and all women for high blood pressure, heart rate, the basic things, and also the data connected to it, and also the protection of information, of course, because all those things that's connected to premature births has long-term effect on the mom and on the children. And of course, we all come from mothers, and mothers have a great impact. So those children go out in the world and it affects them, whether it's the eyes, because some of them, if they're late, if you can help organizations, that's the question. Can you help organizations such as ourselves? Thank you very much.
And I think to add to that, maybe just like, what would be their first step with what they are trying to achieve? Before we're just going to quickly run through just keep that thought. Keep that thought. There were 2-3 more questions. So, yeah. There's that 1, 2, and then 3. These are the final 3. Cool. Yeah.
Thank you, and firstly, congratulations to all the panelists there for starting their own businesses. My name's Grant, and I've got a slightly controversial statement. I'm actually looking forward to AI taking away some mundane jobs out there, and my question is that, well, the statement follows on that once the mundane jobs are taken out of the picture, there'll be more creativity time for human beings. And I'm looking forward to when there's a one-on-one AI. You spoke about the chatbot, don't tell your problems to the chatbot. I'm actually looking forward to a time when someone can sit in a room and have a one-on-one engagement with a chatbot. Examples are, I think it was Jade who thinks she didn't construct the sentence, but I think it was well done. But there'll be a chatbot or an AI that can actually help people, just realize and unlock their creativity. So, following on that, when Yusra said she's nervous, an AI that can actually help her say, well, you're actually not that nervous, bring forth your creativity. And Presley, who thought he was an introvert, who actually is not an introvert, he can actually speak freely and openly. So, one-on-one AI, is there room for that? And what following on that, what happens when human beings become more creative as a result and more confident? What are the jobs of the future that will result from that sort of unlock?
Okay, thank you. Last two questions. You still got it? Over there? You just raise your hand quickly. Again? Is it fine? Okay. This is the last question, and if there's any other questions, you can come and speak to the panelists afterwards as well, of course. Yeah, please stand.
Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Razin Benjamin. I'm also an introvert. I've got just a question I'm going to read quickly. Could you share with us the possible threats and risks we should be taking into account or be aware of when working with AI? Specifically, if you look at people, technology, and data. Short and sweet.
Thank you. So those are the closing questions. So over to, I don't know who's going to go first.
Wow, I think I'll start with the question on the threats. Definitely the first one that comes to the top of my mind is scams. Fraud, it's on the rise like never before. Mainly because of large language models and what they can do. People can take an API from ChatGPT and integrate it into some scrupulous app that can start to deceive you and make you think you're talking to a real human being on the other end when you're talking to an AI-generated, script. And then generative AI as well is really influencing the image aspect, making fake images when it comes to scams and frauds. So be very wary of who you give your personal information to. Be a bit more pessimistic when it comes to free-looking things on the internet. Do your due diligence. Double-check information on certain websites, on certain asks, competitions even. I've seen competitions that ask for your ID and a lot of personal information. That should always be a red flag. Do not do that. Because multiple profiles out there can be made of you, using your information and can be used to scam other people without you even knowing it. So that's one thing that I think I'll add to that. Don't know if anyone has something.
Responses to the other parts of the questions that was asked?
I think I'll respond to the educational question. I think on my side, it depends on what you want to study. So obviously being an engineer and studying electronic engineering, you can make your life very difficult if you want to take your own route. So there's always, I think from a university perspective and learning the theory and actually understanding the core fundamentals is incredibly important from that aspect. And also the other add is not just the educational or the knowledge gain that you get from being on campus, but who you get to interact with. I think that's also another thing that you might limit your exposure to. Because you might not only just be, it's not, you don't go to campus and it's just your lecturer and there's other students that will push you on because, for example, if I design a circuit and I go to my friend Vota and I say, Vota, look what I've done, is your circuit performing the same way mine is? And he'll be like, yes or no. And if it's no, it's like, okay, how can I get yours to be better? And now we're constantly pushing each other. So if you're standing on your own and you're just doing an online course with no interaction, now you've limited your scope and potential of what you could be exposed to. So I think depending on what you want to study, I would probably say tertiary education is important, and there's a lot of value to it. It's obviously, it's up to you as an individual to extract that value in everything you do.
I would like to just add to that. At some point I wanted to drop out, but I realized something about academia. It opens up a whole new world of applications, opportunities, insights. There's a whole nother world that lives on the border of society and academia that most people are not exposed to and will never be exposed to unless you get a certain type of qualification to allow you to get exposed to those opportunities. The research space is one of them. People get paid to play. That's what research is, to find out things, to break things apart, to open up things. And I think it depends on your children. It depends on any individual in here. What is it that you want to do? What is the level of impact you want to make? And I think my favorite quote, or something that my grandma and my mom used to say a lot, is do what you can with what you have where you are, and the rest will take care of itself. So there's no need to take out like a $50,000 loan and get into academia, but with where you are, you can actually start, and then everything else will figure itself out.
The one-on-one AI question?
Okay, yeah. So you mentioned something about AI taking mundane jobs. So I think AI, people misconfuse that. They think AI is coming for mundane jobs, but AI is coming for creative jobs. So people used to think this less creative work or those kind of work people should be in threat of AI. But now you find out people, software engineers are really in threat of getting out by AI. Like software engineers, very high creative work. I mean, you need to think a lot of scenario, but AI is coming for those jobs. So I think you don't have to think that AI is coming for mundane jobs, but it's getting creatively. So I think it's like the scope of which kind of work will be replaced by AI and which will not. I cannot confirm yet, but I think you have to be open about that, and it's not only going to disrupt the mundane jobs, but it's coming for creative work. But it's kind of like, I think there's going to be a symbiotic relationship with AI, because AI is getting creative and we are creative, so I think right there we can have a creative combination of with AI. And talking about one-on-one, I think it's already there. I think if you go to ChatGPT, it's actually, perhaps it's very general. It's about everything. You can ask it about everything. It does not have a personality to personalize to you. But I think tools are being built on top of tools like ChatGPT that are very customized to help you like personally. Yeah. So I think we are there, and we are getting there. That where to, for example, like education. It doesn't have to be like one size fits all, like one teacher student of different quality, like capacity, different knowledge, and for all everything. So I think where AI is going to transform is that it's going to teach you in your own style, like explain me like I'm 5, like teaching in the way like it's more personal to you. And I think that's where going to be a transformation, from education to things like therapy. So you mentioned about therapy. I agree that AI is not that very mentioned to help with therapy. But let me tell you a scenario, like in my country, there is 0.2 mental health expert per 200K people. So 0.2 mental health expert, that therapist for 200K people. So if these 200K people had to access therapy or this mental health support, it's almost impossible and unrealistic. Yeah. So we are working on a project with a national hospital and we're working also with therapists to kind of create pre-therapy, like a chatbot, like a chatbot people can talk to. People sometimes find it's hard to tell to people maybe issues they have, but chatbot can judge, so I think this kind of tools are coming up that are going to be more personal around maybe, around so many areas. So I think we reached there, and we're getting there.
Yeah, and then the last question, just to the mother at the back, that they've got the idea. I mean, she painted the picture beautifully of our society and the challenges, but what can they do? What's the next step for them?
I think you're definitely in the right direction, trying to apply technology to solve such a complex problem. It can help to break it down. It can help to make the parts that us human beings can bring bias to, that we can be judgmental, that, it can help to normalize that and completely equalize and give access to help or some sort of tool that can be of need. I was just whispering to him a few minutes ago that, hey, I actually worked on this 6 or 5 years ago. I didn't work on it as like a project, but I was asked to co-host a hackathon with women in tech in Shanghai. And the group that I was mentoring came up with the idea that you just mentioned today, literally. It's not a product I have code for or something, but the concept is very practical. And I think they were teenagers in high school, but in China, that came up with the same idea, a bracelet that would respond or put out messages to someone to help, maybe the police or a healthcare worker. It wasn't for healthcare, it was for domestic violence. Yeah, it was a hackathon to help with domestic violence for women. That, you know, most women cannot speak out, there are a lot of issues, but we all know when you're in a situation where there's domestic violence, there's, you're being maybe thrown against a wall, you're falling, you're running, your blood pressure goes up, your heartbeat goes up. So those are signs that could help put out a signal and get someone to respond. I don't know if I would be the best person to help you work on that, but I think I could help with just giving advisory and pointing you to the right direction. I mean, maybe he would be the right person to work on that.
Okay, yeah. So just to add on top of that, so I'm working on this project with a researcher. He's trying to help pregnant women get a monitoring level. So it's actually a blessed concept here. So we're actually working right now. So we're taking this data from hospitals with parameters like blood pressure. So those parameters we can gather using bracelet like blood pressure and everything, and then we're trying to understand what is the normal level, what is extreme level, and what is the like good level and bad level. So and then this bracelet is going to an app. An app is sending data to a health center. So it's Bluetooth from bracelet to an app, and then an app will be logging all this information. So if there's the pregnant woman is in risk, or there's misbalance in terms of the data being collected on the bracelet, they're going to be like trigger warning to health center, so they're gonna find a way to help that. So yeah, so I think it's very possible, and we are currently working on it right now. Yeah.
Well, there's your person.
There you go. So, can we please put our hands together for our panelists and our speakers this morning? They did absolutely amazing. So, I hope that you were enlightened this today. I know it was one of many of these type of events that we were doing. I do believe that we just want to say thank you so much to our speakers for really kind of giving us some insights. And we really appreciate your thoughts and your ideas and everything that you've shared with us. And also to everybody in the room. I think this probably could be one of the first kind of artificial intelligence kind of events in Mitchell's Plain, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the few, if there has been. But really want to say thank you so much for being groundbreaking and pioneers, for being so engaged. And we just want to say thank you very, very much. For those of you, we've got your details. We'll share some information with you. We mentioned about some of the tools, some things that those of you that want to take it a bit further, do watch out. We're most probably going to have some opportunities for those of you that want to build your own chatbots and learn more about AI. But from Art Labs, the Art Labs family, we just want to say thank you very much for spending your Saturday morning with us. So please make sure that you meet someone you haven't spoken to. There's lunch prepared for you. Grab some lunch, and we wish you an amazing AI Saturday. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within, and I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. tried